when they will demand a specific academic qualification, so only those who have that specific academic qualification are eligible to apply. Hence, they are considered as a specialist at core. After 2-3 decades, you should know, things started changing. In terms of, let's say that skill, knowledge, experience. So we needed a specialization rather than generalist in the services. The higher level, you need more administrative skill rather than technical skill. The days are not far away when IAS will lead a Mars mission. So, when we talk about generalist and specialist, so generalist is one who is recruited through general academic achievement. Yes. So when your recruitment is on the basis of general academic achievement, like in civil service examination, anyone who has done graduation or equivalent, this is how we say it. So graduation or equivalent qualification is needed. So you are eligible to appear in that examination. So we recruit for over 24 services, 23 services through civil service examination. You got notification yesterday about civil services. Oh. This. If you see in that notification, you will find over 24 services are there. It means all the 24 services can, let's say that means they need only those who are general academic qualification they have. This way we can say. But Indian Forest Service, Indian Economic Service, Indian Engineering Service, Indian Statistical Service, there can be various specialized services. The Indian Statistical Service, Economic Service, Engineering Service, Forest Service, they will demand a specific academic qualification. When they will demand a specific academic qualification, so only those who have that specific academic qualification are eligible to apply. Hence, they are considered as a specialist at core. Because they have done their graduation, their academics are in those fields. So that's why they are a specialist. Now, in civil services, those who are recruited through civil service examination, in that except IAS, others have functional specialization. Functional specialization means since they work in that area over a period of time, let's say you work in the field of policing for 10 years. So you specialize yourself in field of policing. Right. Anyone working in the field of foreign service, he has specialized in foreign relations. Anyone is working as IRS, so he has specialized in financial administration. This in the field of taxation. So they generally become functional specialists. Hence, we also treat them as specialists. So when we talk about generalist, so it is related to only IAS. Yes. That is what it is, only related to IAS you can consider. The generalist versus specialist debate is related to IAS versus rest. Yes. Now what is the debate? So the debate is that basically you should know that after 2-3 decades you should know things started changing. In terms of, let's say that skill, knowledge, experience. So we needed a specialization rather than generalist in the services. Yes, like ARC first recommended that time there should be domain specialization in 8 areas. 1966-68. It means that time itself there was this idea that we should bring more and more specialists. But it did not happen. Then 1990s, you know that new economic policy, happens. Plus side by side we have e-governance. So it became very imperative that we should have a specialist rather than generalist. But then also it does not happen. This, and then we come to this stage. Then most of the top positions are held by IAS. You should know this. Secretaries, means joint secretary and above, positions are held by IAS. Same at state level, most of the top positions held by IAS. Since in Indian administration, IAS dominates, therefore the nature of Indian administration becomes generalist. We say it as a generalist administration. Even if we have introduced some specialist services, still overall general character of Indian administration is generalist, because top positions are held by IAS. Although you would be happy person, isn't it? So this, then gap, let's say that in debate, let's say IAS versus RES started increasing, means the problems of journalists started reflecting more perceptibly in post-liberalization era. Yes, because you need more and more specialists and expertise at higher level in policy making and also in policy implementation or policy regulation. This, but there was IAS dominance. Then ARC second recommended for 13 area domain specialization. It recommended for lateral entry. Other commissions started recommending for lateral entry. Meanwhile, what happens in the process, that IAS even appointed at specialist positions. This, it is not that they are holding their own position, they are also appointed at a specialist position. That is the grievance of a specialist. They dominate on the one hand, at the same time they are appointed at even their positions. Like IAS, CAG is IAS. This finance secretary is IAS. This, right. So, not foreign secretary. Foreign secretary is always foreign service. So then, let's say in case of PSUs you can consider, in case of finance ministry you can consider this aspect. In case of planning commission you can consider. So RBI is not part of, let's say that, the administration. It is regulatory institution. So IAS will be appointed, let's say, even at those specialist positions, like say you have Indian Accounts and Audit Service. So when we have Indian Accounts and Audit Service, it is clear that they should one day become CAG. Similarly, if you have Indian Revenue Service, it is clear that one day you should become Finance Secretary. Right. But hardly Indian Revenue Service wala will become Finance Secretary. Yes, that is how there is dominance and their grievance. This. Then let's say that the promotional opportunity of specialist services is very less. But promotional opportunity for IAS is very high, highest. This. So not only in administration but also outside administration, like regulatory bodies, right? Even governors. This. So their promotional opportunity is very high. That's why specialist services have failed to attract talented candidates. This, like say your Delhi School of Economics should be popular for Indian Economic Service. No, those graduates from Delhi School of Economics, especially economics graduate, should be applying for Indian Economic Service. Isn't it? But they will not apply. Because Indian Economic Service अगर आप रिक्रूट भी हो गए, ज्वाइन भी कर लिया, तो आपको हमेशा स्टेप मॉडर्ली ट्रीटमेंट मिलेगा. This IAS will not bring in its club. This you should know that. That's why they do not attract graduates from the universities. Same thing engineering service. You should know that. Engineering services is also fine. कि जो टॉप करता है वो चाहता है कि हम IAS के लिए भी ट्राई करें. This Indian engineering service will find this. So that way will find that the loss is that specialist services will not attract talented people. This. That has happened. And that is how, let's say, they have grievance. At the same time, they have the grievance that their role has increased, significance has increased, but relevance has not increased. Relevance in the sense that government does not give them preference. Government does not promote them. This. That is how they have the grievance. How IAS defends? No. So you know that Henry Fayol, BTech plus MBA, isn't it? BTech plus MBA. The higher level, you need more administrative skill rather than technical skill. Yes, there is a theory in support. Next is higher level, it demands interdisciplinary experience and knowledge, which IAS has. Interdepartmental. Yes, for cooperation and coordination. So since you have served different departments at central level also, at state level also. So when you are, let's say, at higher position, it becomes, let's say, that more facilitatory to establish cooperation, coordination with any department at union level and state level. This. So because of these factors, they are given preference. And since they are all India, so they are basically loyal to the central government basically. When they are loyal and they, let's say, promote all India perspective, that way it helps also the central government to exercise control over administration. This. So these factors somehow, let's say, that have forced for their preference. But let's say that you have, let's say, let's say that a choice between, you have, let's say, jack of all trade, master in none. Right. Should we go by this jack of all trade, master in none in the era when we have fourth industrial revolution, where specialized knowledge, innovation, these things have become driving force. So you can get leadership, but without professionalism. And by specialists, you can get professionalism without leadership. So you have to have, let's say, that marriage between both. Yes, you have to have combination of both. Journalist and specialist. This you can consider. So we cannot, let's say, completely, let's say that we cannot completely eliminate journalist practices, but by the practice you have, we are not able to achieve also objectives. Most of the areas are facing policy level challenges. Innovations, policy, telecom sector, PPP sector, other sector, this is how we find this. That is how we teach journalist specialists before teaching lateral entry, to just link between them. Why we want lateral entry like this. So this is what we can say. Now, as far as Western countries are concerned, so you have to understand, we told you one day, position classification and rank classification. They were already developed. They got development through industrial revolution. Hence, administration does not have role of development. Most of the activities are done by private sector. Yes. तो उनको एक facilitatory environment create करना है. Administration, this, and that is how the role of administration. Hence, playing the role of integration, unity, integrity wala role, stability order role, that they do not have as much challenging as in our country. Because our country faces challenge, let's say, both external and internal in terms of maintaining stability and order. So we need a strong leadership, networking, connectedness in administration for maintaining stability and order. For that, IAS fits into the scheme. Yes. In fact, you do not have a more suitable service. So IAS fit into that aspect. That is how they become the natural choice. But at the same time, you have to promote specialization, development, initiative, innovations, which demand that we should bring also specialists at different, let's say that means in different departments and in different fields, so that we can have a right blend of generalist and specialist. This we can consider. Hence, in UK or US, other countries, you will have more specialists. They can have journalists, but less. They can have specialists. They will have more specialists. But in our country, there is also constraint to have more and more specialists, which will tell you in lateral entry why it is constant. So that is what the challenge or differences we can say between their country and means their administration and our administration. This is what we have to write. So let's write on this. The journalist and specialist debate. The journalist and specialist debate is very old. Very old. It is related to role and significance of journalists and specialists. Journalists and specialists. The foundation of generalist was laid down by Macaulay Committee in India. Which has been continued through Kothari Committee and YK Alak Committee. Change paragraph. Sorry, in bracket you can write. Since generalist nature has not been changed. Civil services reforms are considered incremental. So that is that also you should know that in a way to link all civil services reforms are considered still incremental. So journalist nature you have not changed. The journalist nature that we continued by Macaulay Committee legacy. Yes. Anyhow, let's write change the paragraph. The debate is nothing but IAS versus rest. That is, journalist means IAS, generalist means IAS, specialist means other services. Since most of the positions, most of the top positions at union and state level, at union and states levels are dominated by IAS, Indian administration, general characteristics is generalist. That's why often bureaucracy is criticized. Bureaucracy is criticized as generalist. Generalist. Even if reforms have been taken up, and new services have been created. Reforms have been taken up and new services have been created. New services have been created, like Indian Statistical Service, Indian Economic Service, Indian Engineering Service. Still there is dominance of IAS. Still there is dominance of IAS. Dominance of IAS. Specialists have following grievances. Specialists have following grievances. Specialists have following grievances. First, at their positions, IAS is appointed. IAS is appointed. Next, their promotional opportunities are limited. Next, IAS enjoys the highest level of prestige, power, status. Prestige, power, status. Like since 1970s, only IAS has been appointed as CAG. Only IAS has been appointed as CAG. On which an ex-CAG remarked. Appointing IAS as CAG means appointing Chief Justice without law degree. Appointing Chief Justice without law degree. Next, another ex-CAG remarked, the days are not far away. When IAS would be appointed as military general. IAS would be appointed as military general. Appointed as military general. This. So IAS, let's say that in fact the days are not far away when IAS will lead a Mars mission. Isn't it? Why? Mars is to be also bureaucratized. Isn't it? So Mars mission led by IAS, it would be a learning experience. Yes. So that is what IAS aura, let's say that. Let's try that further. even if role of a specialist has increased, even if role of specialist has increased, role of specialist has increased, but still IAS is appointed at specialist positions, like regulatory bodies including RBI governor, in past members of planning commission, and CMD of PSUs, This next. Specialists have also argued that they can also become good administrators. Like specialists have run successfully. IITs, IIMs, and there are also specialist leaders like MS Swaminathan, APJ Abdul Kalam, E. Sridharan, Metro Man E. Sridharan, V. Kurian, Milkman means K. Amul Foundry. Yes. Next, in fact, most of the big MNCs and IT companies, are led by specialists. This is know this. So, considering specialists, let's say demeaning specialist, or let's say considering that they cannot be, it is not good, that APJ Abdul Kalam or Vikram Sarabhai, or you can say this MS Swaminathan, V. Kurian, you can say this, or Metro Man E. Sridharan, you can say that in Indian context. If you take Western society, all those companies, Google, Facebook, Apple, etc., and how they lead their organizations, they govern their organizations, including Elon Musk. You can see how he has his own 3-4 such different segments of companies. And leading them. So saying a specialist cannot, it is not good in today's context. They can also become administrator. After all, when let's say engineers qualifying UPSC Civil Services, and when they become administrators, so they are also a specialist. Thus, in a way, they can also be considered a specialist. So that is what we can say this. So this way, let's say they have their side to defend.